Hi everybody, my name is Tori Ross, and today I will be discussing the book Letters to a Young Teacher by Jonathan Kozol. And in my opinion, I thought it was a really great read. So I'm going to be discussing it a little more in detail. So, about the book. This book is a compilation of letters from the author, Jonathan Kozol, to a young elementary school teacher named Francesca. And that's what makes this book unique, because it's entirely letters. Just from Jonathan Kozol. We don't get to see the responses from Francesca, though. But it's unique in just that it's a series of letters and it's not a cut and dry written book. But in his series of letters, Kozol shares various personal anecdotes and pieces of advice on how to handle various situations that revolve around the classroom. And in my opinion, I think anecdotes are a really great way to share advice, because for me, having things in story form is more relatable and understandable. And finally, Kozol really relates and connects to Francesca because they both taught elementary school in the Boston area that way. And because of that, Kozol could come and actually visit her class a lot more frequently and easily, and was able to correspond more frequently with her, which he said he wasn't really able to do with a lot of other people, which really made their relationship unique and special. So, some overall themes that I really picked up on throughout reading were diversity, seeking advice, parent-teacher relationships, and classroom management. So, first, diversity. Even though a school district is made up of mainly minorities, that does not mean there is a lot of diversity. And he mentions this in an anecdote about a school in Manhattan that's named after Dr. Martin Luther King. And in this school, almost all of the students are Black or Hispanic, but predominantly Black. And when these students were asked questions about diversity, they said that they could tell there was no diversity, that there were only like 3 white children in the school, and as soon as they were put in the school, they either transferred out or left, and that they felt that the school was segregated, because even though this school was in a very well-off neighborhood, not a lot of white children would go there. And it caused a lot of controversy and questions there, because the students were very aware of this situation. So even though we try to teach diversity, and even though a school may be made up of many minorities, doesn't mean that the school is really diverse, and sometimes it might not be. The second theme that I picked up on was seeking advice, and there are teachers in the school who may be older than you and have been there for a while, and it's important to learn from them and reach out to them. And in his book, Kozol states that a lot of these young teachers who come in will really congregate towards each other and feed off of each other and get ideas and do lesson plans with each other, but they don't really reach out to teachers who have been there for a long time. And that's a lot of experience that they're missing out on. And he also mentions another anecdote when he was starting in school, and he started to really take notice of an older teacher who had been there for a long time and how she was able to manage and discipline her students, because she had known these students for so long, to the point where she had an expectation from her students, and her students were very receptive and understood that. So he made it a point to reach out and tell others to reach out to older teachers as well. And I think it's a very great idea, because that's a lot of experience that we could use. The third theme is parent-teacher relationships. It's great to have support and relationships with the parents who want to reach out, but how do we make positive relationships with the parents who don't? And Kozol states, which is very interesting, that it's oftentimes not the unwillingness of parents to want to reach out. It's sometimes that they're shamed and embarrassed to reach out. He said that some parents are criticized because they might not speak perfect English the way that a school expects them to. Like, for example, he said a lot of parents will say axed, like chopping an axe, instead of asking, like asking a question. And these parents would get ridiculed and made fun of by teachers and higher up administrators. And they were embarrassed to the fact where they wouldn't want to participate. So Kozol really tried to combat this by going to these parents' houses, reaching out to them, trying to forge relationships with them to get them more involved and let them know that their voice was important. Because it's great to have the parents who are involved, engaged, ready to go and help out with everything, but they're not everyone's parent. We want to make sure that every child's parent is involved in order to create a strong bridge between school and home, which will create a better environment overall. The final theme that I really picked up on is classroom management, more specifically how to establish a positive relationship with students who are determined not to like the teacher. And Kozol pointed this out when he went to observe with Francesca, that there was a student who made it a point to not be engaged, to not pay attention. His head was always down in class, and that all changed because Francesca wanted to refer him out of the class for discipline and for potential disabilities, special needs issue. But that all changed once she read a book called The Grouchy Ladybug by Eric Carle. And he was so engaged in the book, and he started writing sentences after that in class and that didn't have to pertain to the book or weren't exactly positive, but he was writing. And Francesca made it a point to give him the grown-up task. She made it seem very advanced of looking at his own sentences and trying to correct words in his spelling. And she also went and visited his house, and he said to his parents that she was such a good teacher and that he enjoyed her class, which Francesca was very surprised about because he had caused many problems in class and she didn't think that he liked her at all. And after that he was engaged, he was looking forward to reading and lessons, and she was able to really change the student's life just by trying to build that bridge with that student, which I thought was very, very impressive. So one specific quote that I really, really liked and took away and will keep with me for a long time is, entrap our students in fascination, entrap them in a sense of merriment and hopeful expectations. Entrap them. And this really connected with me on a personal level, especially with the movie To Sir with Love, which is a movie made in the 60s. And it relates to Kozol because, one, both Mark Thackeray, who's the teacher in To Sir with Love, and Jonathan Kozol went to college not looking to be a teacher. They were looking for a literature job or an engineering job, and they did not have teaching on the radar, but they wound up taking a teaching job. And they faced a lot of struggles with their students not wanting to learn, not wanting to be engaged in the classroom, and they both worked in order to entrap their students in learning, literally, by telling them that they could succeed in the future and that they can make successful contributions to society. And slowly but surely they won their students over and were able to give these students a positive future and help them. And that's really what I want to do as a teacher, is to entrap them in constantly wanting to learn and look forward to being in my class. So some final takeaways that I really took from this is Kozol's final letter. And in his letter, he mentions Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and he talks about how in his final correspondences with him, he was talking about his dog Sweetie Pie and how Sweetie Pie wasn't doing well. And Mr. Rogers says he kept asking how his dog was doing, and he tried putting it off because he didn't want to give him this bad news. And finally, Mr. Rogers in one of his letters says, "I hope your silence about Sweetie Pie doesn't mean the worst." And he realized that what Mr. Rogers would say is, children need time, and let children come to you with any problems or feelings that they might be having. And he did the same approach with Kozol, which he said really left a lasting impact on him. And he also mentions in his final letter to remember why you chose to go into teaching, because it's so rewarding, and there's a reason and there's a calling to why everyone wants to teach. And mine is to leave a lasting impact on my students and to make them enjoy learning. To remember the journey, all the good times and the bad. He says to remember all the caterpillars and the creepy crawly bugs that students may bring in the classroom, and the bad times, from where you might have a disruptive student, or to where someone outside the classroom might be judging you and have their own take as to what you should be doing. And because those are all memories and experiences that you can build and learn upon. He also says to cherish every moment with your students and to enjoy the ride, because the year is going to go really fast, and those memories are what are going to really last forever. So it's important to make the best of every situation and to just really enjoy it. So that was really my takeaway from the book. It's a really great read. I really recommend everyone reads it. And I hope that you guys have really enjoyed my presentation. It was great presenting on this book. And I hope all of you have a really great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.